Hey, this is Jeremy Martin from Cinco.medicos, and in this video I wanted to give you some vagus nerve exercises to rewire your brain from anxiety. And we'll be exploring a couple stretches, mental techniques, breathing strategies, and vagus nerve exercises for self-regulating. Now, just to give you a brief personal story, I used to suffer from panic attacks, chronic pain, chronic stress, anxiety, substance use disorder, and had a lot of trouble self regulating. So, these are just some of the tools that I've picked up along the way. And there are many, many more, and I'll share more in future videos if that's interesting to people. But the first thing that I would suggest people do is if you are feeling dysregulated. Now, that could mean being in a state of hyper or hypoarousal. So, feeling like you're really in fight flight mode or you're really exhausted and bogged down because anxiety is really exhausting. So, one of the first things that you can do is just self empowerment. You have choice and agency in everything that you do. You are the creator of your reality. The first principle in quantum physics is that consciousness is creating our life experiences, and that there are really three levels there's reality, our experience of reality, and then our story about that experience. So, try to notice each one of those separately and become aware of how they blend together, right? If you're feeling very overwhelmed in your nervous system, then you can just slow down and just experience reality. Rather than the story of reality, just experience reality. Do nothing. Just slow down. If you're walking, sit down. If you're talking, stop talking. Just listen. Now, the second technique is sort of an extension of that first technique, and this is something that I used a lot when I had panic attacks, and that was to key into the five senses. I would tell myself, what is one thing that I see? What is one thing that I hear? What is one thing that I smell? And what is one thing that I taste? And repeat this, and you'll begin to tune into your environment and just slow down between those senses. Okay, I see a door handle. I'm hearing the light. I taste a little bit of a metallic, bitter taste in my tongue. I smell the plants in the room, right? And so we're taking our attention off of our rumination, our problems, and we're just focusing on our environment, what's around us. And that can be very grounding. Now, an extension of this is to focus on your breath. We all know that breath is life, it's your vital energy and the force that moves you. So when you can move it, you can guide that energy. Now, the first breath technique is to start with your belly. So I'll move the camera here. Put your hand on your belly. And you can also put the back of the hand on the back of your spine here. And just breathe. In and out through the belly. Feeling the back and the belly expand. Now, depending on how often you do belly breathing or any kind of breath work, you can start with a 4 count, you can start with a 6-second count, work up to 8, then 10, right? You can start with your belly And then you can move up to your chest. So I'll move the camera again. And put both of your hands around your ribs and feel your chest expand. And then squeeze the chest. And repeat that. Expand the chest. And then repeat that. And then you can move up the body so that you have both hands on your upper chest, just above the heart, near the collarbone. And then breathe as you did with the belly and the rib cage. You can inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose or the mouth, which one is up to you. And then you can combine belly, chest, upper chest, so that when you inhale first through the belly, then through the rib cage, then through the upper chest. So I'm feeling the breath go down into my belly, expanding it like a balloon. Couple seconds there, couple seconds up into the chest rib cage area, and then until you basically reach the top, and then you can hold it for a couple seconds, and then exhale in the opposite direction, releasing from the upper chest, from the rib cage, from the belly. And this is very similar to another breathwork technique called box breathing. You might have heard of it, where you create a box of the number of seconds that you inhale. So it could be inhale for 4 or 6 seconds. So we inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we exhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we hold out for 4 seconds. And then you can repeat this box breath and up the number of seconds that you inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and repeat the box. And this will help you to self-regulate. Now, another breathwork technique is called Pranayama, which is a very large umbrella term. I'll focus on breath of fire here, which gets back to the belly. So we'll angle the camera down here a little bit, where you do a short burst in through the belly so that you're breathing out. So you go. And when you let air come back in, it's just coming in naturally. So and when you speed this up, it starts to sound a little bit more rhythmic. Now, I don't suggest that you eat anything before this. Make sure that you have an empty stomach for it. And then when you're done with a round of, say, 20 or 30 of these, and go at your own pace to start, then you take a deep inhale, fill the lungs, fill the belly, and hold it for 10 seconds. And then you exhale through the mouth. And you increase the number of times that you do the breath of fire. Then inhale, hold it, exhale, repeat the breath of fire. Another technique that I love is alkaline breathing. Very similar to Wim Hof, but Wim Hof is through the mouth, out the mouth. Alkaline breathing tends to be in the nose, out the mouth. Um, I suggest when people breathe that they only breathe in through their nose. Now, with alkaline breathing, you are hyperoxygenating your body, and this is affecting the pH of the blood, especially with the breath holds that you do. And this helps to increase focus and awareness. You get really high on your own supply, and the nervous system responds directly and objectively to whatever information that you give it. So, to give you an example, you'll be taking a deep inhale and a deep exhale and repeating this for 10, 20, 30 rounds. So you go and then when you're done with that, you inhale, hold it like you did with pranayama, and then exhale and hold for about 30 seconds to a minute. And repeat this for several rounds and work your way up. Now, the next technique has a lot to do with breath work because it's what I call my morning routine. It's the first thing that I do when I wake up. When we wake up, we have stress hormones like cortisol, maybe even a little bit of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and even epinephrine, depending on how we wake up. If we wake up to an alarm clock, for example, or sirens, something that's very jarring, that gets our sympathetic nervous system, our fight, flight, freeze, fawn response going so that we are already agitated, we're already nervous, and we're already waking up in a state of anxiety, and that sets the tone for the rest of the day. So this technique is just change how you wake up. Devote the first 5-10 minutes tops at first so that you're not asking too much of yourself. Just the first 10 minutes of each day to yourself. That's it. Sit down, be with yourself before you do anything else. And the first thing that I do, I like to set an intention for the day, just tapping in, closing my eyes, saying, what do I want out of today? What am I looking for, from myself, from this day? What are my intentions? And it's not just a goal or what I'm striving for, but maybe it's to be at peace with where I'm at, or to feel gratitude, something general, to do an act of kindness, to feel like I helped somebody, I'm of service in some way. But the whole key of having a good morning routine, even if it's just 5-10 minutes, is that you can rewire your brain to begin the day more relaxed, feeling more creative, more open, rather than bash yourself with a code red and then get yourself into that logical, analytical planning do mode. That's the executive functioning of the neocortex, right? So what we really want to do is soften the limbic system where all our feelings and emotions are, and relax that brainstem, deep brainstem activity, so that our nervous system is calm, so that our emotions are calm, and so that we can then think clearly. And that's the order of things. And we do this by having a good morning routine. And eventually it becomes habit and something that we enjoy. It doesn't feel like a chore, right? We like to wake up feeling calm and rested rather than, again, the alarm clock, having to rush to eat, drinking coffee, which raises your heart rate and your blood pressure, then rushing out the door to commute in traffic with other people. And then we're at work and it's calls and emails and people and just madness, right? But if we wake up in a self-regulated nervous system with a good vagal tone, over time this will take less of a toll on you as you go through the stresses and the ups and downs of life. So personally, my morning routine has gotten quite long, but it consists of breath work first, yoga second, and meditation third. Then I eat slowly, mindfully. Then I get to work, and then I can go about my day. Okay? Now, getting back to breath work, I wanted to share a quick two-step technique that with practice, you can eventually regulate your state of being independent of your environment. So you can do this even at work, in a meeting. In this technique, it's inspired by Heart Math, which is a nonprofit organization. We're focusing on activating and self-generating renewing emotions. So oftentimes this comes in a state of stress, but you can do this for no specific reason at the start of your day, when you're beginning a project or sending emails, or before, during, or after a challenging situation. In this technique, our goal is really just to replace the depleting or draining emotions with ones that renew, rejuvenate, and repair the system and neutralize emotional reactions. So if we're feeling very irritable, very frustrated in the moment, we can reduce the impact of stress and plug those energy drains which leave us feeling, again, tired all the time. With practice, the coherence that you're establishing in your system between your thoughts, your feelings in your heart, and your body, the 50 trillion cells that you have in your body, you're creating a resonant state where the waves, thermodynamically speaking, are starting to overlap and actually increase each other's amplitude and the power, so that you feel much more energized, but conscious, not hyper aroused, just excited and glad to be alive, awake, but in a good way. So this becomes, with practice, more automatic over time. So this is a two-step technique that's a quick technique. You focus your attention in the area of the heart. So you imagine your breath is flowing in first and then out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual, and just visualize, maybe close your eyes, visualize energy flowing in to the heart and then out of the heart, and then in to the heart, and then out of the heart, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm that's comfortable for you. And as you continue heart-focused breathing, the second step here is to make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for someone or something in your life. For example, you could try to re-experience the feeling you have for someone you love, maybe a partner or family member, a friend, a pet, a special place, an accomplishment, or just focus on the general feeling of calm or ease as breath comes in to the heart and out of the heart. And combining the simple act of focusing on the heart area with a slightly deeper level of breathing helps to draw energy away from distressed thoughts and feelings by interrupting your body's mechanical stress response. And the vagus nerve runs all the way up from the top of the head, down through the throat, through the heart, connects to the lungs, all of the internal organs, the diaphragm. And so the heart is really the center of that vagal tone. And so you can place your hand over your belly and lower back as well, if that feels better. But placing your hands on your heart in this technique can be really great. And as you do that, you can also extend this technique with what's called the freeze frame technique, because it helps you to pause or to stop or to freeze the frames of your stress movie in the moment, in real time, so that you can edit the frame and create a different outcome, right? So there's a scene that's going on and you want to press pause or stop. And so you're watching that, and then you can access your intuitive intelligence and create more objectivity and replace an effective solution so that you can resolve the problems in that frame that you've frozen. And this helps to enhance creativity. So you can use this technique, especially when you're making decisions or planning or trying to gain some novel insights about how to handle a situation. It's really good for outside the box solutions if you're in a stressful situation or just trying to be creative. Now, the quick steps of this freeze frame technique is first to acknowledge, second, that heart focused breathing that we talked about, then activating a positive or renewing feeling, then asking, and then observing and acting. Now, I'll explain each one of these in detail, but I will say that it's very similar to what Tara Brach talks about in her RAIN technique, where we recognize what's happening and we allow the experience to be there just as it is. Then we investigate with interest and care, and then we nurture with self-compassion. So, step one, acknowledge the problem or issue or any attitudes or feelings that you may have about it. Take a time out to acknowledge how you feel about an issue so that you can see your judgments or depleting emotions that are lurking beneath the surface. Maybe write in your journal for a couple sentences what you perceive the issue to be, but don't dwell on it for too long, as you might only reinforce your worry about it and start to feed that energy. What we're trying to do is to get whatever it is we're feeling about down and just out in the open so that we can see what we're dealing with here. And what we can't see, we all know we can't really do much to change. Instead, it changes us. So that's the first step, acknowledge. And the second step is to focus your attention on the area of the heart. Again, imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. Breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Finding that easy rhythm that's comfortable. And what we're doing here is, again, creating more coherence by shifting our emotions and attitudes so that we can see the situation more objectively and see the bigger picture. Now, clarity and insight during the second step might not come right away. This could have a lot to do with the complexity of the issue, past history, and the intensity of the emotions that are coming up. That's okay. Just be patient with yourself. Repeat the process later or the next day, and then that will begin to feel much more natural with practice. And oftentimes, solutions will just come up when we stop trying so much. Step 3 is, as you continue heart-focused breathing, to make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as, again, appreciation or care for someone or something in your life, and shifting from a feeling of being anxious or feeling anxious about an issue to then feeling somewhat calmer is actually quite significant. You're plugging in energy leak here. And from this more objective place is step 4. You ask yourself, what would be a more efficient or effective attitude, action, or solution now that you're in this calmer state? What do we do here? Okay, I can see how to be more efficient, how to be more effective, what actions I might take, what could be a good logical solution. I'm out of my stress response, I'm regulated. And so now I can, step 5, is quietly observe any subtle changes in your perceptions or attitudes or feelings, and to commit to sustaining beneficial attitudinal shifts and acting on those new insights that you've had. So keeping a journal close by can actually be really helpful. Now, that's it for the breathing techniques. And next I'll bring it to neck stretches. Neck stretches, especially for people who are highly stressed. People tend to have a sore neck or they get headaches very often. So this short tutorial is just for beginners and for people who need to stretch the major muscle groups of the neck. And it'll feel really good once you're done. And so the first step is really just to lengthen the neck. Sometimes when we've been sitting in a chair or we've been looking at our phone, we forget to lengthen the neck. So try to imagine a string pulling up from the top of the head through the spine. Okay. And remember to go slowly when we move the neck from side to side. Go slowly because the neck is a very sensitive instrument. And do this for several rounds until you feel like you've loosened up the neck, going just from side to side very slowly. And then the next step is to drop one of your hands, could be the left hand, all the way down to the floor, or if you're in a chair, just let it hang. And then tilt your head just to one shoulder. And you can play around with the angle here, going forward and back. When you're ready, just take a breath as you straighten your neck and fall to the left or the opposite side. And drop the opposite hand down to the floor or your side. And again, you can just play around with the angle. And very gently forward and backwards. Come back to center. You can do a few rounds of this. You can also put your hand on top of your head and then shift your gaze so that you're looking down at your armpit right here. And then bring it down. And hold this for a little while. Relax the muscles in the neck. And then grab the front side of the head very gently. Tilt the head back so that you feel it all the way up through the neck to the shoulder. And remember to breathe nice and deeply. And remove your hand. Come back to center. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Grabbing the head very gently and then looking down at your armpit. And then again, just gently bringing your neck and head slightly back so you feel it through the front and side of the neck. And breathe. And this feels really good if you do this for a couple of minutes. You can also clasp your hands on the back of your head like this, and do the best to get your elbows to touch. And then gaze from one side, and keep your gaze there for about 30 seconds. And then shift to the other side for about 30 seconds. So if you want to pause this video, that's one technique. And so those are just a couple of neck stretches. Again, very basic kind of yoga techniques. And that is super relaxing. Just letting go of tension in the neck helps us to self-regulate. Now the next technique is more artful, and that's just singing. Now singing, we all know we need to use our voice, but we also use our heart and our lungs, our diaphragm and belly, and our mind. So what we're doing is we are creating coherence between our thoughts, maybe it's lyrics or the melody that we're thinking about. We're singing with our emotions and through the chest, and we're using the air and our breath, and we're also using our diaphragm, our belly, our whole being, really. And this is increasing vagal tone. So if you're not a singer, that's fine, but you can tap into a melody in the shower or just humming on a walk, and really just experiment and play around with this, because it can be quite fun and very self-regulating, just to hum to yourself and feel the vibrations in your body. And really this is a great body technique for increasing the vagal tone. And this is in plant medicine ceremonies, what Icaros do. You're using the brain, the lyrics, the power of the word. You're using the vagus nerve, the throat, lungs, organs, diaphragm, and the various nerve exercises that I'll talk about in future videos have a lot to do with accessing these areas of the body. And then again, the heart, the feeling, or the emotions. You can also chant, or if you have a mantra, that also works. Now, some other exercises that you may want to look into, since I don't have enough time in this video, is leg exercises, EMDR, trauma release exercises such as tremoring. But then there's also taking a walk, a gratitude practice with yourself, having a gratitude journal, or doing this with others socially can be really great. I do this with my wife. At the end of every day, we just say what we're grateful for. Maybe it's at dinner, or maybe it's when we're stretching before we get ready to go to bed. And remember to laugh. If there's something funny, maybe watch some comedy. Try to remember something funny that happened in your life to lighten the mood. And then eating well and interpersonal coherence, knowing who you're hanging out with, whether they're triggering you or not. I'm not saying to avoid certain situations or people, but just becoming more aware of those things, and treating those people with kindness, but also yourself with kindness, knowing yourself, and whether what you're saying is coming from the mind, from the heart, from both. And so I hope that this video has been a little bit helpful. I hope there have been some techniques that you can use. Now I've gone through many of these techniques quite quickly, so remember to slow down when you do them and take your time with each one of them. All right, take care.